your back. Don't move.
Look forward. Look ahead.
Is this the guy?
That's him.
Excuse me, sir. Put the phone away.
He has been proclaimed as the king of Instagram by the internet and bros everywhere, and if you haven't watched our other video on Danny B, I highly recommend it. By the way, that's what I'm calling him from now on. Today we'll be breaking down all the craziest facts about this Hugh Hefner on steroids, and you won't believe what we found. Welcome to Inform Overload. I'm your host and Bacon Overlord, Johnny Rogers, and you're watching the #1 tea-spilling entertainment news show on the internet. I don't care what anyone else says. First and foremost, before we kick this video off, let us know down below who your favorite Instagram account is to follow and tell us why. Also, don't forget to follow our own IO Instagram page for daily news updates. Plus, if you don't want to miss another daily video from us, make sure you tap that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Now, without further delay, let's get right into today's list, the top 10 craziest facts about Dan Bilzerian you won't believe. In at number 10, Fast and Furious. Dan appears to have so much money that he just gives it away for racing bets. Yeah, he's that much of a dysfunctional gambler that he makes bets for nearly $500,000 on a car race. In 2011, Bilzerian took part in a high-speed car race at the wheel of a 1965 427 Shelby Cobra. His opponent for the race was attorney Tom Goldstein, who was driving a 2011 Ferrari 458 Italia. However, instead of just settling for bragging rights as to who has the fastest car, they raised the stakes to a winner-take-all of $400,000, which is probably one of the most expensive friendly bets that was ever placed publicly. The pair even went head-to-head at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which seems fitting for a bet like that. Surprisingly enough though, Dan was able to cross the finish line first and thus utterly played Tom for a fool. In at 9, building bombs. Dan's life could definitely be described as explosive, but really nothing comes close to when he was arrested in December of 2014 on bomb-making charges. He was then taken into custody at the Los Angeles airport and was eventually forced to plead guilty to failing to extinguish a fire in the open. His lawyer David Chesnoff had no comment except to say that Bilzerian and Jeremy Guymon, who was also charged with possessing explosive materials, were looking forward to their day in court. What an ominous thing to say. Fined just $17,231, the whole misdemeanor served as simply moderately expensive self-promotion with handcuffs thrown in. The criminal complaint ties Bilzerian to an investigation of an explosion in a remote desert area near Vegas. The Bureau of Land Management called the Las Vegas police detectives on November 4th after the agency discovered a field of debris from an explosion near South Las Vegas Boulevard. Shortly after being released, Dan Bilzerian tweeted and said, "Yeah, jail, let's not do that again." In at number 8, arrested senior year. Bilzerian is no stranger to being arrested though, and his love of weapons has gotten him into trouble many times before. When he was only in his senior year of high school, Dan was arrested for having a machine gun in his car on school property. This dude loves guns so much it's been reported that he owns over 97 of them and has a loaded gun on display in every room of his rumored to be rented mansion in the Hollywood Hills. And apparently he once said that if someone did break into his house, his biggest issue would be not knowing which gun to shoot them with. Yeah, that's something he said. In at number 7, presidential dreams. No, you heard that correctly, and I truly wish it was a joke, but yes, Dan has considered pursuing the US presidency. I mean, at this point, who hasn't? He said that he would run as an independent candidate, but based on his life thus far, I would say that he's probably gonna do better as a Republican candidate. That's just my outsider Canadian assumption though. I also couldn't imagine him willingly throwing aside this lavish lifestyle of his to work on prison reform or international affairs. If he wanted to be the next president, he would first have to give up the debauchery and illicit drugs to even be considered.
And why be president?
Just because it would be like the last kind of box that I'd want to check. I feel like I could do it for pure reasons, like I just really wanted to do the right thing.
In at number 6, Armenian heritage. In an odd and surprising twist on this list, it turns out that both the Kardashians and the Bilzerians are of Armenian descent. Whether or not that is an indicator of propensity for Armenian families to achieve fame is open to interpretation. Although much like the Kardashians, his family was also impacted by the tragic and devastating horrors of the Armenian genocide. His father Paul Bilzerian was once a celebrated corporate takeover specialist, that is until he was arrested, tried, and convicted for securities fraud in the 1980s. He was also largely absent from his son's formative years. Dan's dad even infamously jetted back from a life spent abroad to sue Dan's Little League team for slander over a $5,000 donation. When Dan was 10 years old, Paul broke the news to his son that he was being sent to jail, and that explains a lot when it comes to psychoanalyzing Dan's antics. In at number 5, failed Navy SEAL. Dan may appear like he keeps himself in a decent physical shape, but that being said, his physical aspirations may outweigh what he's actually capable of. Dan had dreams of joining the Navy SEALs, but after several failed attempts in the training program, he never really made it through. Bilzerian says that he was there for 510 days, including 2 hell weeks, which, like the name suggests, is hell. The first of which, though, he completed with a broken leg because he bet his medical officer $20 that he could do it. Seems low, but okay. Unfortunately, 3/4 of SEAL trainees don't actually graduate, and Dan was no different. After his second attempt, he dropped out permanently due to a safety violation at the shooting range section of the program. Bilzerian himself has admitted that one of the officers really didn't like him. That being said, his dad had distinguished himself in Vietnam with a Bronze Star, so being the son of Paul Bilzerian was also a liability, especially with the FBI constantly looking into his father and his shady business dealings. In number 4, paid feature. While Dan Bilzerian has appeared in a handful of movies, perhaps his most controversial appearance to date was a film called Lone Survivor in 2014. It had nothing to do with the actual subject matter of the film, but rather the behind-the-scenes semantics that made this controversy. Having invested in the movie to the tune of, $1 million, Bilzerian filmed around 8 minutes of screen time and 80 words of dialogue. However, his role was eventually cut in the editing process to just one line, which was the legendary line of, "What's going on?" After the movie hit the big screen, Dan's reaction upon seeing his performance broken down to a mere 3 quizzical words obviously didn't sit well with him. This began a lawsuit where Dan demanded $1.8 million. That is, until the film's budget of $40 million brought in a box office return of $154.8 million, which meant Bilzerian had made a substantial profit on his original investment. Eventually, much like his lines in The Lone Survivor, Dan dropped the lawsuit. In at number 3, women on payroll. People have always wondered how this guy has so many women around him at all times. Now, from a glance, it could be easy to say, well, he's rich and maybe they find him attractive, which some of that may be true, but most of the time he has someone scouting for these women through Instagram.
So pretty much, if you are a semi-attractive woman in the Los Angeles area, this is true. You somehow end up meeting Dan Bilzerian.
Desi and Kayla, for example, just met Dan by accident at a party he was throwing. He asked her to hold up his cat for a photo, and the next day she had 40,000 new followers. Since building his empire of an Instagram page, he's been able to lure women into his life just for a photo op and the chance to grow their own following. Although he treats women as if they are just disposable props for his personal page. The whole way that he went viral first started with an employed woman of his just stroking his beard while he played poker. Then, when he was desperate to make a lasting impression on the folks at Hustler magazine, he threw one of the models off of his roof.
You know, like I used to talk and be like, oh, sugar daddies and, you know, and whatever, and paying girls is lame and whatever. But I actually get it now because it just saves you a lot of bullshit.
In at number 2, heart attacks. When Dan was 25 years old, he was on a ski trip with his fraternity brothers in Park City, Utah, and spent a few days partying there. After that, he flew to Vegas and already wasn't feeling so hot. Couple that with a few days of drinking, some illicit drugs, and the stress of gambling, and what you're left with is a guaranteed heart attack. What really caused the heart attack to onset, though, was the 200 milligrams of Viagra that he took just to sleep with this one girl. I mean, you only... I'm saying that like I know. From what I've read online, 100 milligrams would do perfectly well for like an 85-year-old dude. Either way, he also admitted during his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience that some nose candy was also involved. This led to a trip to the emergency room after he began experiencing some serious chest pains. They treated him and all seemed to be well and good, that is until the following day. The very next day, he had a second heart attack at 25 and was forced to admit all of the drugs that he did leading up to that moment in front of his ex-girlfriend, which included the Viagra part. I'm sure that didn't go well. Coming in at our number 1 spot, the Las Vegas shooting. If you want to get a real perspective on just how irresponsible and egocentric this guy is, you must look no further than the Las Vegas shooting. When a gunman began raining down bullets on an unsuspecting crowd gathered for a country music festival, the place turned to utter chaos. On October 1st, 2017, 64-year-old Stephen Paddock fired more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition from his 32nd floor suite in the Mandalay Bay Hotel. He ended up taking the lives of 58 people and wounding around 413. The ensuing panic brought those being injured by the event to a total of 869. In the days following this unfortunate disaster, Dan Bilzerian was spotted in multiple videos trying to help people get to safety. At first, this is what it appeared to be, right? It appeared like this very nice thing that he was doing, but the more that I watched the video, the more I realized just how badly he wanted to get involved. First of all, he follows a crowd behind a police cruiser, and then while people are panicking, Dan man opens up the driver's side door and begins looking around the car. Now I wasn't aware of what he was doing at first, but now it's believed that he was looking for a weapon, because moments later he then confronts a police officer and actually asks for the guy's assault rifle, as if he was going to go Rambo on a shooter that no one had even located at the time. With that, let's check out some of your comments from the video titled "Fans Want Kylie Jenner Removed from Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion WAP Music Video." Fluffy Pink Chaos says, "I love how everyone on Twitter was saying that they should have had Betty White and not Kylie Jenner. Gonna be honest, that would have made that video 10 times better." Ashley Burton says, "I like Kylie being in it, I just don't see the big deal. People can just be so hateful." Yeah, I agree, Ashley. I was undisturbed by her appearance, but I understand if people don't like her and then just weren't expecting her to show up. Probably why Cardi did it, to be honest. Joe Choi says, "Ruddy is a British word meaning really. That's some slang for you. Pronounced like Woody." Oh, so it's Rudy. Joe, thank you so much for explaining that one. I really thought that that guy that was commenting on my videos just made a typo, but hey, new word added to my vocabulary now, so thank you for that. Gavin says, "Still think Johnny should grow an evil vaudevillain finger twirling mustachio." What a line. Look, one of these days, Gavin, it'll come in. We just have to be patient. You gotta give it time. It grows at its own pace, I swear. Shannon Bradley says, "The older I get, the more extremely disenchanted by all of Hollywood I am. Just here to support Canadian talent. We have it, let's reel it in. Hollywood is falling, Shannon, so don't worry. Tons of talent are moving back to Canada, and it's about to pop off. Drake's here now." And that has been the top 10 craziest facts about Dan Bilzerian you won't believe. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks to our editors for all of their hard work. If you enjoyed this video, please show some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, don't forget to leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on today's video. And for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is tap that playlist when it pops up. From Inform Overload, my name is the Bacon Overlord, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy.